Hey everybody, it's Zafir from No Love Lost 2.0. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? So we got a special guest on the line today. Say what's up.
Hey, hey, hey,
So
it's me.
Jesus. So we're gonna get into a conversation that I wanted to talk about. I was gonna previously record this, and Jesus decided he wanted to jump on. So we're gonna talk about friends and family and navigating through that. And what does that look like? We sit here and we say blood is thicker than water, but then sometimes we found out that water may hold everything together and that blood don't. Or we may find out that that water ain't shit. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Friends, family, and lovers, how they can cross the line or how they can stay in line. But we gonna find out and we're gonna talk about it all. So I'm gonna start it off with saying I am a person, I have 9 sisters and 3 brothers, and I don't give a damn. If you treat me right, I'll treat you right. If you treat me wrong, I'ma disappear and get gone. So how do you feel about that, Jesus?
No, I hear that. I think respect um comes beyond a category or a name of a thing. So yes, I think if you are not being respected, fuck.
I agree because I pretty much am a person that I go what aligns with me. If you treat me right, I'm gonna treat you right, and that's friends, families, and lovers. If I feel disrespected and I try to correct the behavior, and then you keep on moving in a funny way, then eventually over time, as much as I may love you and still love you, I will have to dismiss you.
You know, love can be in different forms. I can be 20 miles away from you, and I still love you, but you gotta respect your own self.
Do you have any examples that you could maybe give us about maybe something that you've experienced through loving a friend or a family member and it still happen to may let them go or navigate how do you deal with them differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think as humans, as all of us, we all go through different stages of our life, right? Whether it's with a family or friend. For my example, I can bring up friends, right? I think I had about a few good friends that I thought I would last a long time with throughout my life, from kindergarten to elementary school to middle school to high school. And the truth of it all is that not everybody's gonna align to what you believe in. Not everybody's gonna follow the same path or even be on the same level as you.
I
And
agree.
as I grow, as I see things, I tend to understand the main root to the word relationship. But I will go into deeper. I'll go in deeper into that. You know, just let me know when.
You could go into it whenever you're ready. Like me, for instance, I could give y'all a quick example. Me and my sister moved down to Fayetteville, not together. I bought my home. She followed me down here. We got into a disagreement. Maybe like it's been a year, going on 2 years now. We don't talk or whatever. I'm not mad at her. I still love my sister. I got the utmost respect for her. I just don't fuck with how she moved. Now, is she still mad at me? Yes. Is she still talking junk? Yes. But I have nothing negative to say. I have learned that I can love you and still not fuck with you. I can love you and respect you as a person, but know that we don't align in this lifetime. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but sometimes it just means that you're not the person for me. And I realize that instead of being angry with people, sometimes you have to love them and distance yourself. So that's a quick little story. So you can get into yours, Jesus.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I agree with you with that. For a certain point, right? Because I mean, I have friends a friend I've been friends with for a while, a long time. I'm saying a decade and some change, and and again, things don't align to what is respected. I'm sorry, I'm in New York City, so there's gonna be car passing by.
That's all right. You ain't got to worry about that. I'm going to clean the sound up.
Okay, good. Um, but yeah, so going back to it, um, even though we've been friends for so many years, and we both have love for each other, things wasn't working out because there wasn't equal take. It was always one given more than the other. Now, any person, and fooling myself. Listen again and be like, oh, yeah, fuck that shit. Things that align to what I want, or he's not the person that's gonna be good for me. Um, I can sit there and use that blame, but what I've realized in this whole thing is it doesn't matter who you're with, whether it's a family or a friend. It doesn't matter how many years you've been friends or how many years you've been so close to this family member. If you don't have the love and respect for yourself, then you're always going to find situations where people are not good for you, or you're going to feel like, oh, well, this person is not treating me the way I'm treating that. You know what I mean? And so going to that person and these ups and downs, I've come to realize that, yeah, I mean, I could say, we're not friends no more because he, does not have the same respect that I have for him. And I'm not going to sit here and tolerate that. Or I can say there's a lot of things that I need to work on with myself, that I need to align with myself before I try to, before I try to be friends or close to any family. Yeah,
Okay. Well, can you give me an example to where there was a disconnect or where things maybe didn't align, and how did you guys either address that or move from that?
yeah. I mean, when 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 you're so conditioned in a set like way with a person, it could be anybody, right? This is the person you call for this. This is the person you go hang out with this. When people start to branch out and you start to see how other people is treating the person you care for, my example, my friend, and you give advice, but they don't take it. They stay in that situation. And if, the minute that you go and fall into like a negative energy, they're quick to disconnect with you, but not disconnect with the other person. And I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand, why is this person trying so hard for somebody else who does not give two fucks about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt personally attacked. And, and I had an emotional breakdown where I felt like enough was enough. Whether it's me to him or him to me, I think at this point, there's a lot of things that I need to work on for myself in order to establish any relationship. So that's where the disconnect went. It was, we were branching out, and as being a good, loving friend, I couldn't stand how other people were treating him, but he was okay with it.
So do you think like maybe that, it's, I know how that is. And I've been there in friendships where like I had a friend in the Bronx who was getting beat on by her girlfriend. And it hurt me to be in relation with her, because I would say, this girl's black in your eyes beating you. Why won't you just leave her alone? And ultimately the friend ended up turning on me and getting mad at me and stop being friends with me, because they felt like, oh, I should mind my business, but they kept bringing the situations to me. And then when I finally, and then what I learned was, it's that I don't have to sit here and agree with domestic violence and allow you to, but at the same time, I just was like, you know what? Maybe I can't. I had that friend for about 17 years. This is somebody I was in middle school with. And we were friends for a good 17 years. After the last time she got beat on, basically the girlfriend and the girlfriend's sister, they jumped her and beat her up, sent her back with black eyes and everything. And I said, I can't do this. I can't be around this shit accepting this. But I also feel like, damn, I really lost somebody I really cared about. Not because I couldn't mind my business, because they kept bringing it to me. But I somewhat felt like maybe I should have disassociated my feelings. But it's hard to do that when you care about people. It's hard to do that.
Exactly. And I can agree with you, because, as much as you want to, this person, right? Like, your best friend for 50 years, you said. And to watch her go through these things was destroying you more than it was destroying her. But, and that is the same thing that happened with me, where not in the same situation, but similar to it. where I just felt like, have respect for yourself. But it wasn't my place to tell my friend. As much as I cared for him, it wasn't my place. That was his lesson to learn.
On
And
yes,
trying to
yes.
be a superhero because I knew him and I knew him from his emotion to his pettiness, And I knew that his words and his values, and I felt like it was being taken advantage of, and he's not doing anything about it. Like I started questioning myself as a friend and saying, like, is this what I'm displaying as a friend? Like, is this so? When I started questioning myself and we started to get into a disagreement about it, it took, obviously, like any person, you snap, but it took me after my snap to realize it's not my place. It's not my place.
Yes.
And maybe it is time for us to split at this point so that he can go through his life lessons and he can grow and learn as the way I did, and I love him. I still love him to death, and I still miss him. But I do know that, chapters are closed for a reason. There's an end to every chapter. And just because that chapter is closed doesn't mean there won't be another sequel in the future, right?
Correct.
But there's a lot of lessons that you got to work on yourself as well, because it's not just about that person, because it's about the battle that you have within yourself that you couldn't be okay with watching or being okay with being with that person getting beat. You know what I mean? So what is it in yourself that you're still disconnected with that caused you to walk away from the first? That's another, that's another lesson that I asked myself, and I'm still working.
I definitely can feel you on that. So it's just like when me and her had our disconnect, it wasn't respectful. It was, I cursed her out, and I cursed her out real bad. I got in my feelings, and I mean, like, I call her every type of fat bitch, and she had just had weight loss surgery. And basically, she said the straw for her was, she said, "Oh, I didn't come to the hospital after she had her weight loss surgery." I said, "Well, why would I? You had the girl who was beating on you up there. I didn't want to be in that energy, in that space with that person, knowing that it was going to be toxic for me and possibly put me in a situation. We in the Bronx, we in the hood. I'm not trying to go to no Bronx hospital and get in no trouble." So,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
yeah.
Can I just ask you something? When you said that, right? When you felt like, okay, I didn't want to go there, I didn't want to be there with that person or with that type of energy, what do you believe that is it really stems or stops there, or is there unfinished like trauma that you probably went through in your past that you don't want to relive because their energy, their situation is a little similar to something that you.
Oh, for sure. 100%. That was the biggest reason why I end up distancing myself is I had a traumatic experience with domestic violence growing up as a child. It's something I saw with my parents, with my mom's husband. I seen domestic violence a lot of my childhood. So it was like, for that, to see that as a young adult, this is back in like 2020. So to see that as a young adult, it was too much for me. I was just like, "Oh no, girl, I can't do this. This is too much."
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a trigger for me.
It was a trigger, right? But it's like, but then, that makes you wonder, like, okay, who am I to like sit here and like judge somebody else, right? And their situation when I don't understand 100%, because I'm still dealing with my trauma. So that's where, like, even though like the old me would want to just say, okay, fuck it, like I would do whatever it takes to like get this person back to my life, that's what's stopping me. And it's because I need to fix myself, And I think that everybody has the concept relationship wrong, because it's relation is like two or more, right? Like, or a group. But if it's two or more, who's the third person, right? And that's self. It's you, yourself, and then the other person.
Correct.
So, and when we start to look at relationships in all forms in that way, and we fix, when there are things that trigger us from another person's experience, we have to step back and ask ourselves why and how and what is it in me that I need to fix? Because it's not the other person. It's always you first, and then it's the energy. And
Mm.
that's what I'm learning in this journey. Like, I'm being separated from somebody I've been friends with for over a decade. So I don't know if going to that topic, like, is they're bad friends, like, or do you know when there's a bad friend or bad family member or a toxic family member or a toxic friend? I think toxicity starts within self
Mm-hmm.
before it starts with others.
Correct. Because, but from that experience, I did learn something. I learned it's not about just minding my business. Because if your friend is brutally being hurt, no, I don't
Yeah.
always think you should mind your business with certain things. But it came down to if that's the life that she enjoys and loves, even if it's narcissistic and toxic or not, yes, I could judge her for it. But while I'm judging her for it, she's already hurting.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was something that, like I said, once I realized, now it made it where I navigate through my relationships with friends and family differently. So now if a friend of mine comes to me and say, "Oh, I'm in a toxic situation with a boyfriend or with another friend, or I don't like the way they treat me," instead of telling them what to do, I say, "Do what is best for you, what makes you happy, and I will support you as best as I can. And if I do not agree with what you do, instead of trying to push how I feel on you, I will allow you to be who you are and meet you where you are."
Yeah. That you could use that.
And that didn't always be like it took for that situation to happen for me to realize I don't want to lose people I love and care about because I don't agree with everything they do or it doesn't align with the life that I choose to live. Yeah, it sounds simpler said than done, and it is because it's like this book I read, and I'll keep it short. The book is called Let Them and Let Me. And the book, it means let people be who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't try to mold them. Don't try to push them to be what you want them to be or what you think is best for them. Just choose how you want to deal with them if you want to deal with them.
Mm.
And I read that book during my 75-day hard challenge. And
Wow.
now every time people be like, "Oh, Zafia," I be like, that's what you want to do. If you want to keep engaging and being around people who don't treat you with respect and love, I'm not even gonna say nothing smart like that. I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
"Okay, friend, um,
You know.
well, you can keep telling me about this, but you already know my answer or what I'm gonna say. So instead of me saying it, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let you have that conversation with yourself and support you just by listening."
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And that's the thing I'm still working on. I can't sit here and say, I can say all the right answers right now. But in all realities, I'm still learning. I'm still in the beginning stages. And it's funny that you bring up a book, you reference a book, because I'm reading this book called Let. I don't know if you heard about it by Mel Robbins.
Is it Let Them and Let Me? Or is it just the Let Them theory? Or Let Them book?
Let them theory.
Is it a green book?
Yes, it is.
That's the book I read. That's the book I read. I haven't. That's the book I read. You're gonna love it. It's a good
Oh yeah.
book.
Oh yeah. It caught me. It caught me just from the beginning of her just talking about her depression, her job loss, how she didn't want to get out of bed. And then she counted backwards, from 10, like a rocket ship. And
Yes.
she got to one, she got up. And that's something that I tried myself and that works. And so something that as I'm reading the book, I'm applying it to my past situation because there's nothing we can do about our past, right? We can only, correct the now, but that's what it is.
Yes.
And so, and reading it and just learning that, even though it bothers you, even though you want to stop this person, even though you want to stop the situation, let them. Because at the end of the day, you doing this, you going and bringing all this energy and all this stress on yourself for something that they want to do with their story, their life, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. And at the end of the day, you develop a better connection with that person. Or the opposite can happen, right? You can naturally disconnect. And it's
In a healthy manner.
in a healthy,
Unlike I did when I cussed that bitch out.
yeah.
Yes.
Me too. Because I'm blocked. And it's all good. But, at the end of the day, we're not here with all the answers. We're here to experience and to learn. And I think, everyone deserves chances, but no one deserves a chance before you give yourself a chance.
That's right. And I'm so glad you're reading that book because that book, I read it all these years, and it's crazy because my husband had bought the book actually,
Oh,
and
wow.
what yeah
Hearing you say hunted.
oh yeah, my husband bought the book, but he read a little bit of it, and then he sat it down, never finished it, read like maybe 20 pages, and when I
All right.
yeah, so but the thing about it is we've had that book in our house for over a year. I never looked at it, and then during the 75-day hard challenge, the goal is to read 10 pages a day, work out twice a day, drink a gallon of water.
Yeah.
It's basically to get you into a routine. And I decided, you know what? I don't want to buy a book. Let me just look at the books that we have in the house. And I picked that book up. And I said, you know, I know that there's toxic things about myself or things that I needed to grow from. And I said, I wish I read this book years ago because I wish that I could have applied a lot of these situations to my life when they were happening because there were times where it was myself or others that we didn't know how to communicate correctly to get to a place of comfort or peace with each other. So we navigated in the most immature ways. And basically, it's like you said, like a rocket ship of the countdown, right? So you count down and then you get up. We should have did a countdown where we calmed ourselves down because we went straight into the emotion, and the emotion erupted in the anger and the everything. It's like for her it was like, I'm tired of you being treated like this. What is wrong with you? And for you, you could have been like, you know what, these people are not treating you in a manner that I feel you deserve. But it at the same time, I could have still had that friend. It would have been 20 years by now at this point. But if I would have just said, you know what, friend, I'm gonna love you from a distance for a while. I'm gonna let you handle that situation, and then stop it. And then when you're ready to have a conversation where we can communicate to understand each other, we'll talk. But instead, I erupted with emotion.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And that's the number one mistake that all of us make. We don't have the right answer. We got to learn through it, and learning it by facing the truth. And the truth sometimes hurt, but you have to reevaluate yourself to understand any situation.
Yeah. And be okay with realizing that it's not about being right and wrong because that I tell people, I be like, my friend had asked me, I think it was a week ago, he was like, oh, what's some advice that you would give to newlyweds? And I said the biggest thing I would tell them is do not try to win the argument, do not look to win anything, do not look to win anything. And this goes for friendships too. Do not look to win arguments. Do not look to win in life over your friend or your partner. Just look to understand each other, because the biggest issue sometimes that we do is we looking to be right. And the biggest thing in my relationship and in my marriage that I even had to learn before I was even married was I don't need to be right in order to be heard. I don't need to be in the right in order to be understood. I need to focus on understanding you and where you're coming from. And you need to focus on understanding me and where I'm coming from. And who's right or wrong don't even matter. And those are things that I apply in my physical connected relationships, but I also have now learned to apply those in my friendships.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's no difference. Once you bring somebody in that inner circle, what makes a difference is the intimacy, right? But other than that, everything that you give to your partner, you also get to your friends. I mean, obviously there's a limit to it, but at the end of the day, the love, there's no limit to it.
Correct. I tell people your friends could be your soulmates.
Exactly.
It's not always about being in relations with somebody on a physical surface for it to be your soulmate. I have met friends that I'll be like, oh my God, you're my soulmate. And it has
Yep.
nothing to do with us having a sexual relationship. It's just that this person is like my other half.
Yep. And that is 100% true. That is 100% true. And right now, I'm currently going through the same situation from that I had with my previous friend, my previous best friend. I'm having it with my current best friend, and I'm learning from my previous best friend what not to say, what not to do. And so far, it's been working. We've been working our issues out little by little. But it's true. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to like to the love that you give. Because at the end of the day, that shouldn't change.
That's facts. The love, and that's the thing is like I love people that I don't even mess with and talk to. And I used to be like, oh, I don't care about you no more. When I was younger, oh, I don't care no more. Or if I don't f with you, I don't care. But I have learned to say, I love you, but I don't like who you are to me,
Yeah.
or I don't like who I am with you,
Yeah.
and how I allow myself and taking responsibility using the word
Yes.
I don't like how I react
Mhm.
off of your behaviors and
Yeah.
how I react. And the biggest thing with I is the responsibility of saying, you know what, you may piss me off, but it's my responsibility to handle how I control my emotions.
Yes. Yes. 100%. That is beautiful. Oh my God. Makes me want to angry to say I love I
Listen, I told my mom recently, and I probably never got into depth of how our tumultuous our relationship is, but I had just like for Mother's Day, I sent her a card, I put some money in it. It's not about the money. I told her I loved her. We haven't talked since 2000, I think, in 23. All right. So, and even recently, just last week, I said, oh, I sent her a text, hey, I love you. She was like, I love you too. Now, I don't know if we'll ever have a relationship. And me telling her I love her is not the opening. It's just, I do love you. I just don't like how I am with you.
yeah. Yeah.
So maybe with reading this book and having these open conversations with your current friend, it's going to also teach you when you make new friends or if
Yes.
you
Exactly.
reconnect with old relationships, how to navigate through them without letting your emotions get overstimulated. Because I tell everybody's autistic in a way. And what I mean by that is no, I say I literally will tell people like everybody is autistic, and what I mean is there's different levels to the spectrum, right? So for me, it's like used to get emotionally overstimulated. That's why some people be like, "Oh, well, Zafir just don't care." No, it's not that I don't care. I just don't allow things that have nothing to do with me can take control over me.
Yeah.
So do you
That's
know like what aspect or what was the nail in the coffin where you was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and separate myself because you know what? I'm in a position where what you're doing is making me feel like I either have to defend you and you don't want to be defended or attack you because you're being attacked and you don't see it.
yeah. I mean, for me, so what drew it without putting too much information is, when again, how people are treating that friend of yours, the person you love, you care for, and then they sit here and tell you, well, that's my friend, and if you don't like it, then you're gonna have to learn to deal with it. And that's fine and dandy, but for me, I didn't take it that way. I took it like a knife went right through the chest. And so that feeling when a knife goes right through your chest. It's like it's the fight or flight. And I decided to fight. As in the midst of rage and saying all these things that I was holding back for so many years, and I'm releasing it in the most inappropriate way. It made me reflect to the past, to how people have put me in this situation, and how I told myself that I would never get, you know, I would never be put in the situation where I'm in public and I'm raging.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was like, it's not fair for you to hear this, for you to hear this in this matter. And it's not fair for me to have to be in this energy. And I knew that there was the point where I need to separate myself for me, for the progress that I've been working hard for, and just understanding why I understand my personality. And so that's where I knew that this was it for right now. This is where the child comes
Mm. I can understand that, and that definitely makes sense to why, like you said, that could be the nail in the coffin. Sometimes is, you know, when you know you're out of character and you're not even being yourself because somebody has now made you feel a way, and you just feel like you're in defense mode or you have to protect yourself. It definitely will make you be like, you know what? Sometimes it'll make you stop in the middle and just be like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Not only do I shouldn't be acting like this, you don't deserve this from me.
exactly.
You not because you don't even deserve this from me in a mean way, and you don't deserve my energy for me to exhaust myself with emotion trying to protect you.
Yeah,
Not and if you and that's why like I always be like, hey, oh, that's what you oh, this person treating you bad or they playing in your face. Okay, what else is going on? And then and people be like, and then be like, well, damn, Zafir, you just don't care. No, no, no. You know they playing in your face. You know what you going through, and you still allow it. So I'm not gonna sit here and keep having that same conversation with you. Well, how else was your day? What else did you do today? How was work? And and people will be getting mad at me for stuff like that. But the reality of it is if I feed into what you got going on, you know it's wrong. You know you don't like it, but you keep complaining about it and doing nothing. So what am I supposed to do? Exhaust myself? No, I'm not doing that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that takes discipline, you know, and it takes years of discipline to get to that level where you can, you know, not put yourself in a situation that, you know, your friend is going through or the person you care for is going through. So that you don't destroy the connection you have. And that's
Yeah,
something I'm learning.
because love doesn't die when relationships end.
It doesn't. Nope. It
that
does.
that that is something I learned a long time ago. Like love does not die because things don't work out or things don't go how you want them to go. It just changes.
Yeah. And you know what? Just, I know we're going to, this might steer a little off topic, but remember that podcast that we did a few months ago about being friends with your ex?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar to this. We've been working, I mean, so far it's been a year and we've still been in very, very good terms. Like we are, I mean, sleeping over each other's houses, you know, chilling, venting to each other, going to the gym with each other, sharing things that I didn't think I would have the, the courage to hear and not get emotionally attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's because I'm aligning myself with, okay, even though in this history I had with this person was romantic, the love never changed.
Mm.
And the love is that strong that we both sat and we spoke about the past and we spoke in deep, you know, situations that wouldn't have we wouldn't have known if we didn't bring it up. But it wasn't to hurt each other. It was just to show like the progress, you know, and where we messed up and and what we're learning from that mistake. But at the end of the day, we can both agree that love is what's keeping us together.
Mm-hmm.
So
That definitely aligns with the topic at hand. It definitely does because family, friends, and lovers, that's what this is
yeah,
all about. And this is all about navigating the good, the bad, and the ugly, and realizing that everything doesn't deserve a reaction.
no, and it's gonna happen. You're gonna feel it. It's natural. We're humans, but it's reacting. That is an option. That is in your
It's 100% an option.
yes.
I was in like a 4.5 year relationship before my husband with somebody. And I remember it was like the second to last year. Like, I think it was like the third year that we was together where we used to get in these arguments and these fights, not physically, but where we like, I lose my voice, screaming, yelling, sweating, blood pressure high. And then I remember it got to the point where I decided I can't react like this anymore. I do, so, and I remember the person, like the first few months of me not reacting to the yelling and screaming they would do when we would get in arguments and they would be screaming and yelling, and I wouldn't even. I'd be like, okay, I understand that, but when I'm trying to, and I would talk just like this, and he's like, oh, you're pretending, you're pissed off over there. I know you're upset. I said, I never said I wasn't upset. I'm just choosing not to react the way that you're used to. And they said, oh, you're fronting. That's not really you. You're putting on an act. And then maybe by the fourth year, while we're still together, they was like, "Wow, you haven't yelled or screamed at me in over a year." They was like, I said, yeah. I said, when I'm upset with you, I just express how I feel. And if you are not in alignment to understand or listen, I just say, you know what? We're going to have to move on and finish this later on, or we're going to have to sit here and really listen to each other. I said, because it got to the point where, like I told my husband, I said, you met the best version of me. I had to go through those phases in those relationships with people and that communication style to learn communication skills, because by the time I met my husband, I said, listen, we don't need to lie to each other. You know, when we first started talking, I said, if you fuck other people, you fuck other people. If I do the same, let's just be real about it. I said, I'm just over all the fake, phony, and the bullshit. So, I said, and I just said, I don't argue. If you yell at me, I'm not going to ignore you, but I'm not going to respond in the manner that you think I'm going to. Like, basically, and I remember the first few months of us dating, I remember we got in a really bad argument, and I just stared at him. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, I just stared at him. And he was like, he got quiet. He's like, oh, you're scaring me. I said, I'm not trying to scare you. I said, but you're not going to scare me with your attitude and your anger either. I said, and I realized then, I said, wow, I have really come far in my communication style, because my husband will tell you, like, we've been together 5 years this September. I don't yell and scream at him, and he don't yell and scream at me. If we have a disagreement, we sit down and talk about it, or we take a break, come back and say, hey, I'm upset, but I need to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, like I said, that takes years, of discipline, but it won't, you won't see the results if you don't try, right?
That's right.
So,
And sometimes it takes meeting new people or learning new people and learning different communication styles and how to adapt them to those relationships that you have already or to new relationships.
okay. Because what's not meant to be won't stay long. What's meant to be
I agree 100%.
the laws of physics and attraction.
So what made you decide to want to come on and do the podcast? Because it's been a while since you've been on.
And I was purging your podcast the other day.
Oh, did you listen to the before you could say, did you listen to the straight it was about heterosexual men? Did you listen to that one? Oh, child, you gotta listen to that one, because I was eating my co-host up. But go ahead.
I definitely got it.
So what made you want to come on? Let me listen to you.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've been on your podcast, and it's fun. I like it. But it's also, we all need a platform to share and to be vulnerable, whether it's for 30 minutes, whether it's for an hour. And sometimes one person isn't enough. What I'm going through right now is something that hundreds of thousands of people are going through at this very moment. And a lot of them don't have this advice. A lot of them don't have this mindset. Or a lot of them, just feel like the end is the end. But it's not. And, I want to be able to share this with people, because this is not a small situation that I'm currently going through.
Mm-hmm.
Former best friend. This is this is a big lifetime. It's 12, 13 years of my life that I got to share with. And so, even though we're not in the same level at the moment, I'm very confident he'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does, whether it's reconnecting with me or just sharing this experience and sharing this lesson with the next person, at the end of the day, like I said, I hope everything, when he goes through it, I hope everything the best is for him. Only the best, only the best. But at the end of the day, I gotta fix what's broken in me, what needs to be altered in me before I can go on and say I'm better, right? Or so it's not the end. It's not the end. Just keep going.
I like that. It's not the end. I want you guys to take heed to that. I want y'all to really listen to what he said when he said it's not the end. Even when things, and I'm gonna leave you guys with this, even when something ends in your life, that doesn't mean that's the end of your life. That doesn't mean that's the end where your life is just done. As long as you wake up and you have breath in you, you have the ability to change something in you and for you. And this isn't about bashing or disrespecting anybody or relationships or friends or partners. This is about establishing self-loving yourself to love yourself enough to know how to navigate through life so that you don't have the bulk of stress sitting on you. A lot of the times we get angry with people and we sit with that anger and we'll see them be like, oh, fuck that bitch. No, you have to not even say fuck that bitch. You gotta be like, you know what? You have to learn to feel nothing and not in a bad way or a good way. I will tell people, they'll be like, oh, I seen what's the name? I'll be like, I don't wish them bad. I don't wish them good. I don't wish nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to get to that safe. That's a safe space to be in. You don't want to be out here wishing people bad.
And like there's a quote that I ran into. It goes like this. It's like, just because what you're going through doesn't feel good, it's not, it's a life lesson, not a life sentence.
Mm.
Like let that sit, and that person that you are so angry with, find it within yourself why are you still holding on to the anger. And I promise you that 90% of that issues that you're feeling, that anger you're feeling, has to do with the self-love you're refusing to give yourself, or the attention you're refusing to give yourself. You don't give to yourself.
Yes, you have to give yourself grace and you have to give yourself peace. And being angry is not peaceful. And I want to thank y'all for coming on to No Love Lost 2.0. I appreciate you guys. We are in our 5th season. 5th season. This is episode 2 of the 5th season. And this was it's crazy because I didn't know he read that book. He's reading that book. I didn't know that we would even have this conversation today. But this was all designed to happen the way it was supposed to. I feel like everything aligns the way it's supposed to. And sometimes that'll be a shocker. He texts me, wanted to jump on the podcast. I'm like, oh, I had a plan to do a podcast and I was going to do a solo episode about this very topic. And look, I was able to get him on and we were able to drop some gems. These were some gems we just dropped. These were some gems. And I want you guys to understand that what he said is true. It's not a life sentence. And do not hold yourself in bondage with anger. And it's okay to be angry, but don't let it take over you.
Yeah.
Close it out, Jesus. And how we close it out is we say one love. This podcast is all about sending love out there to the universe. So I want you to say one love.
One love.
Woo.